Can you hear me now, guys? Can everybody hear me? Give me thumbs up if everybody can hear me. No sound? Okay, good. Everybody can hear me now. How, Mr. McCohen, how are you, sir? How are you, brother? How's everybody doing? Robinson, how are you? So most of the anger, Christopher, is ensuing from the misunderstandings that are going around. And personally for me, as I'm a person who everybody in the community has gotten used to AB. Like, if you don't know me, if this is your first time in here, maybe you don't know me that well, but for those that know me in here, Pete, don't worry. I'm going to break it out as it is. I'm not going to just, say what, I guess the people want to hear. But I'm going to break it down as what it is for face value. And there's a lot of confusion, and there's still a lot of dots to be, like a lot of blanks left to be completed. But I will do my part at least. But yeah, the people that do know me in this community, you know me for one thing. I don't say that's one what the people obviously want to hear, or whatever agenda is pushing, for the lack of better terms, a grand scheme of a profit on the backs of the community or the movement, because it's much more to me than that, and it's much bigger than just any of us or one of us. I'm a person, if by now people don't understand, I'm a person who everything that comes out of my mouth, I think about it because one day I have to answer to it for the man above. That's my only fear in life. I don't fear a system. I don't fear individuals. I don't fear people. I don't give a shit about anything that cannot control my destination or even destiny or the outcome of my life. So all I care about is the man above. That's all that guides me. So when I say something, I know one day I'll have to answer to it. One moment, one day, whether it be it after my passing, when I'm dead, or whether when it's resurrection or judgment day, when I have to meet the man above. That's all I care about. All these people and everything, that's nothing, man. The great prophets that came before us went through a lot more, so I'm nobody. I'm nothing. But I care about, this is my time. I'm on this planet now. So are all of you right here. We all bear witness to the results of what happens in our time on this planet. It's part of the test. And I'm not, again, my belief is my belief. I'm not going to push it on anybody, on everybody. But I just wanted to draw a picture for people to see where my moral compass is, or where it lies. Let me see. Mr. McCohen, thank you, sir. So here's the thing. If you have any questions, please put them down. Like Billy Bats says here, AB, why can't all 4 million apes band together and sue these bastards? Well, Billy, it's simple. The apes, unfortunately, we have a lot of miscommunications in between. And of course, since there's money involved, a lot of people see things differently. And therefore, since they don't agree, because it's all about, like, every person's personal interest or personal investment, or they got influenced from somewhere, and therefore they see that this narrative fits best, and therefore that yes and no crap came in between. And the thing is, all this that we're going through right now, whether you like to believe it or not, and this is my humble opinion, the no vote to all across the board would have prevented all this from happening. However, I will explain to you guys, to the best of my ability, or to my understanding, at least thus far, to exactly what's going down and what is basically this whole thing that happened today. I mean, today was a huge day in so many different ways. And if you can't feel it yet, what I'm referring to as far as feel it, as far as like the crazy movements that are about to ensue or about to happen throughout the stock market, across the stock market, not just into our AMC or any of this, then I guess you will bear witness in these few next weeks that are coming ahead. Mr. McCohen said, we saved Billy, but screwed Bob, Chuck, Mary, and Sue. Oh, Emmy. So here's the thing, guys. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and I will do my best to read through them and give me a chance to answer a question so that I can look at the next one before it gets overrun by the next questions or anything, any other questions right after. So most of you are asking the question, so hey, we all heard about the lawsuit that got settled. Okay, I reported it on YouTube, I reported it in the community tab, I reported it on Twitter, and there's many different narratives. Here's the one thing you need to understand. One, they're basically gonna do this they did the settlement based on AMC and Allegheny basically agreeing to the fact that they all gonna say, you know what, let's not go to court. Let's not wait till basically the 27th and go through all this crap. And you know what? Speaking of let's not go through court, I have something interesting to say about that. Especially for certain content creators that kept pushing the narrative that Allegheny are afraid to be deposed. They don't want to go to court and all this stuff. Yeah, but then AMC pays to not go to court. That makes so much sense. Anyways, we'll get into that right now. Billy Betts, oh yeah. They will, that will become to meet the creator moment. So basically AMC agreed to pay about 6.9 million and shares basically. Slash 22,000 and like 566 shares post after the reverse stock split and the conversions go through. Now, how are they going to do that and who gets it? So initially, everybody is still right now confused on who gets it. Is it just Allegheny or is it all? Now, I'm going to be on the fences, but I'm going to lean toward, I will tell you this because mathematically, it's for the 51, like if you looked in the community tab of what I reported and I highlighted a square, and as soon as it was reported, I read that 8K filing and I highlighted basically the meat and bones that's the most important part of the whole thing. And it shows that mathematically 51 million slash, and some shares, basically that's what they're doing. That's what they're paying the 4.4% or 7.5 out of every 7.5 shares. They will issue a extra share for all the plaintiffs. Now the plaintiffs, people are saying, is just Allegheny. Mathematically, it looks like it's going to be given out to all the float, which is basically all the holders. That's you, me, and everybody else in the lawsuit. So because mathematically, if you count in the document, it says out of 51 million, and some shares, just to go over it. If you haven't seen it, go look in the community tab. You will see where I highlight, and you just read that box that I highlighted, and you will see. Now, mathematically, it shows that it will be out of every 7.5 shares, AMC will issue an extra share for all people who are holding only AMC shares. Put APE on the side for now, because this whole 8K filing only involves, and this lawsuit settlement is all involving AMC common shares. So when you see that, how is AMC going to give, from where are they going to give the extra share per 7.5 shares? Well, they're issuing extra shares basically right as soon as the reverse split goes through in the conversion. They're starting off the first day in the office. Basically, if it was a new company and the first day in the office, I'm just going to explain it that way. Everybody who held shares through March 31st, as far as my understanding, and again, it's highlighted in that box. Make sure you look at it if you haven't seen it, to read it for yourself on the community tab on my YouTube. So they're basically going to go ahead and issue, as soon as the implementations go through, they're going to go ahead and issue basically roughly what is supposed to be 4.4% of the new AMC float, because APE is going to merge, convert over with AMC, and we'll have a total of like around 160 something million shares as far as a full float. That's all after counting all the reverse, conversion, and all that stuff, with the extra 6.9 million shares that AMC will issue to the shareholders. Out of every, basically mathematically, out of every 7.5 shares that a person was holding through March 31st, which was just a few days ago, they will get, after the reverse and the conversion goes through, which is still not determined, because they will issue. So we're day to day here now, basically. Maybe in the next week, maybe within these 2 weeks right here, something will get reported where the lawsuit will basically completely be dropped, since basically both parties have come to terms. And then everybody after the following of the conversion and the reverse split will basically have a extra share, if they had shares of AMC only, not APE. Again, we put an APE on the side. They will have an extra share of AMC. Now, here's the funnier part too. I'm giving you the details now, but we will comment on it now after I lay out everything, and then we will talk about it in details, like as far as breaking it down. Now, the funnier part is that fractional shares will not be dealt with. So it's funny that at 7.5 shares. So what they're planning to do with the fractional shares is basically every fractional share will get distributed through their transfer agent, through AMC's transfer agent, and they will be basically sold and basically transferred the money equivalent to it to the respective investors that they basically will distribute on their own. So basically, let's hope that the transfer agent, aka computer share, can play honest. So that's one. Now, where it gets worse is the people who are going through banks or brokers like the Weebles or the Robin Hoods or whatever. Those people will have their own method of how they transfer those shares, those fractional shares equivalents to the people. So technically, now let's look at the highlight here. One, mathematically, it's not just Allegheny that looks to gain here. 1 share per 0.75 shares invested in common shares in AMC. But again, on top of that, how is it going to be gained? It's not a gain. AMC is technically, through this deal, they're diluting the stock even more, 4.4%. So basically about 4.5% after the transaction of the merge and the conversion goes through. They're right off the bat basically diluting the stock. 4.4% of it will get diluted. So as soon as the conversion happens, if you see obviously an exotic drop, do not be, they're basically telling you don't be confused or any of that, because again, we had to issue this to make this payment so that we can get this thing settled and off the table. Of course, again, this is why I said in the beginning of this live, had we have voted no across all the board, we don't even have to worry about any of this nonsense right here. We don't have to worry about more dilution. No matter how big or how small, at the end of the day, it's coming out of your own investment and mine, out of all our investments. So the dilution is so stupid, in my humble opinion, on how they chose to deal with it. If you are the board, and you had, and I said this on the tweet and on the message on my community tab on YouTube, I said, if you as AMC, do you remember those content creators that were saying, oh, they're scared, the lawsuit people, Allegheny that is, the plaintiffs, they're scared to be deposed, they're scared to be this, that's why they keep pushing. Well, if you had, let's redirect that same narrative back at AMC Silverback and its board. If they had nothing to worry about in this case, why pay? And in fact, here's another FUD that there's and shill that's coming out. Again, like it's like when imagine if they come to you out of nowhere into your own home and say you've been accused of stealing. So therefore, we're going to take you to court. And in return, instead of you saying, okay, I got nothing to worry about, I didn't steal nothing from nobody, and you go held up high, your shoulders are very straight, you're not worried because you didn't do nothing. But instead, you say, hey, okay, instead of going through this case, can I pay you guys some hush money and just keep it on the low? Why would you? If you got nothing to hide and you got nothing to worry about, why would you even deal with that? Why would you dilute? Why would you settle the case if you have nothing to worry about? It's aggravating. I had to go, literally, because I'm still fasting at the time, I had to go to the gym and get most of my aggression out on the weights before doing this live, because especially when you're fasting, your patience meter is very, very low at the point. So I could have gotten, if I did the live back then, around 5 p.m., 6 p.m., it would have been probably like a, like not the AB you guys are used to, or you understand, or you remember, or you know me as. I don't like injustice. I hate it in all its forms, and this is so disgusting. It's so disgusting to see year after year, to see this injustice happen, and it's like, what, in the country of the freedom, in the of supposedly the first world, and it's happening right in front of our own eyes, where we're getting manipulated, defrauded, and yeah, you see in the title of this live, Mmtlp and finra. Today, like I told you, it was a big day. Like, a lot of things came out. Like, even some senator freaking subpoenaed finra for what that is. And finra, if you read the blue sheets and see them, like, finra looks like a major orchestrator of the whole damn thing. Like, when I was telling all of you guys in the past, literally over a year and a half since I started this channel, and before that on tweets and other platforms, before I even did the YouTube stuff, I was telling people that you're not against only hedge funds or this hedge fund or Kenny G or whatever. You're against the whole entire system, and you're seeing it in front of your eyes. Like, if you were to go back then, I was being shilled against, because like, oh, okay, you're a conspiracy theorist. Now, everyone is unanimously agreeing on the fact that the banks are a big issue. And I'm not going to say all, but majority of the people were shilling against what I'm saying and calling me a conspiracy theorist for telling them that it's even the branches. Do you want to know why over 90%, 80, 85, 90% of the float, just AMC alone, is constantly on a daily base, buying pressure is being routed through dark pools? And then sell orders are being dumped on the stock so they can control the price that it goes in so that nobody gets margined? With what shares? With synthetics that they could create basically to infinity? Who's letting them get away with all that stuff? Pabloco, what's up, brother? Who's letting them get away with that stuff? Like I told you, a police officer, if they see something wrong, they can't look the other way unless there's something in it for them. And that's just unfortunately this world, and how this life, this corrupt life operates. So you ask yourself about the SEC. Why hasn't the SEC done anything? Well, you look back, you see Gary Gensler. Okay, he's a top executive at Goldman Sachs in the past. So he basically comes from a corrupt world. And now he's supposed to be police chiefing the corrupt world that he comes from against him. Yeah, sure. Like, he wants to lose all his millions. Like, he wants to go against the entire system. Now, again, we are, as I've always said, against the entire system, all on our own. Don't believe in this, I have my silver back, he's with me against this. Like, again, whether you want to believe that or not, I don't want to bust anybody's bubble. But when it comes to entire finances, when you're talking about trillions of dollars, not just billions of dollars, no one is too small to reach out to, and no one is too big to be controlled when the entire system is the entity that you're actually going against. Yeah, right, Tindies? Yeah, he's definitely playing chess at our expense. At our expense. He paid it out, and now you have some shills out there saying, oh, look, everybody gets a share out of every 7.5 shares. You should be happy. This is bullish to the moon and all this stuff. And it's like, that's, if you see, this is what gets me, this is what bothers me the most about the fundamentalists, okay? They speak long term, and they say their job, the board's job, is not to talk and not to deliver a short squeeze to the shareholders. Their job is to take care of the company. Okay, if we're gonna deal with that narrative, well, guess what? Your silverback is basically diluting 4.5%, just about, rough estimate, 4.4% out of the company, in order to settle something that if he had nothing to hide, he wouldn't even have to do that. That's a payout to nothing. At whose expense? Whose expense? All the shareholders. Who's the majority shareholders? So he's going out to basically a 5-star restaurant, collecting a major tab, asking the waitress and the waiter to add everybody else's tab on his tab, and then says, okay, all this tab, take it and basically let the shareholders pay that shit. He's settling the case at our expense. Yes, he will come with this crap talking about that I have millions of shares as well and all this stuff. But guess what? It's easy to hold 1 million and some shares and a couple of million shares when you have sold millions in 2021 when the stock was around its all-time high and made millions of dollars. So you collected more than enough, more than you even anticipate out of you and the stock boards. I'm talking to ater in particular here. They collected their profits already back in 2021 while everybody is saying, hold. So we held the bag for the board and for the silverback. And it's easy for them now to dilute, to send the price up, go against the mysterious forces that means to do harm to us and all the stuff as he refers to it as, because he's already collected. Now, let me ask all of you guys here a question, a serious heart-to-heart question, okay? Whether your narrative is, yes, I love Adam Aaron or not. If you would have sold around the all-time high back in June or end of May, early June of 2021, would these new right now and got back into AMC after, with these revelations that are happening right now, would they have hurt you, or would they have made you feel just as bad, like somebody smacked you in the face in the middle of the street? Would it feel that? Would it be this exotic right now? If you would have made like hundreds, like let's say you had a very nice position and you made, I know people that could have made millions of dollars on their positions just in shares alone back then, and watched it obviously come down to these evaluations that we see now. Like, how would have you felt had you, like, and my point here is, again, I just hate injustice. I hate seeing it. It doesn't matter who is done against. It just gets under my skin. It's easy to go ahead and do settlements and all that stuff at other people's expense when you've already collected your profits 2 years in advance, 1.5 years in advance, if you want to be specific, and basically now got your kind of like right now whatever is left is like kind of fuck you money, you know? And that's the crazy thing. So maybe there's another question that people want to ask. So does that mean that the lawsuit still has to go until April 27th? Well, that's a confusing part to me, because some sources, or the way that it would be is if those two that are basically the plaintiff and the person that they're suing, which is AMC's board and AMC CEO, since they came to term, then basically the court now, technically they still have to get the court approval to get the QO. However, if both have agreed, the court doesn't have much to say anymore. That's just the way I see it. So they could easily at any given moment within this week, maybe next week, have an update for everybody saying that the reverse split / conversion will take place at this time unless something else comes up. Maybe some other lawsuits, maybe something different comes around. However, but that's just how it is. I'm not going to fabricate some information and give people what they want to, you know, what they think they want to hear or what they don't want to hear. I'm just going to say it as it is. So as far as we have it now, it's an update. It could go up to April 27th until the court decides finally if it approves this settlement, or it could be updated within this week, or maybe at the most next week at some point, where they would report something maybe by next week, by next Friday, maybe like I said, like in 10 to 14, something like that, business days, trading days, where they would eventually report and tell everybody, like, or at least an update telling them like, hey, okay, this thing is going to happen like this and it's going to go down by this. I don't know. I'm going over a lot of things, and before like I continue just moving over and over and over, maybe I'll just read people's questions here and just go with it step by step. So hopefully that made sense to everybody. Before I read the questions, again, AMC settled the case with the plaintiff, Allegheny, that is. Mathematically, it shows that every common shareholder on record as of March 31st, a few days ago, that held shares through that date would receive a share out of every 7.5 shares that they possess, only in AMC, not in APE. Again, like we said, put APE on the side for this one, okay? For this 8K filing. And basically, how will it happen? It won't happen prior. It will happen after. They will get their share distributed to them post the record of the reverse / the conversion. They will get that share out of every 7.5 shares. But that's how mathematically makes sense, because in the 8K filing, it mentioned the 51 million float. And if you did, since they said post the conversion in the reverse, AMC's float is around 546 whatever million. So if you divide that by 10, you would have the 56 million shares that they're speaking about, roughly estimate, on the 8K filing, which means that narrative that most people in the beginning, including myself, thought that basically only Allegheny gets a share out of every 7.5 shares they had. Mathematically, that does not basically equate. So unless some update comes out and something different comes out, you know, that's just how mathematically it transfers. Because basically, Allegheny does not hold 56 million shares, you know, post MOAS. That will be the whole entire AMC float. So mathematically, that's the best explanation as of now that we all have. If I'm wrong, I'm open for anybody's corrections around here. But again, numbers don't lie, and that's just the way that it looks like it's. I feel like I'm understanding it. So there's many more things, like the fact that Antera even had so many puts apparently on AMC ahead of time, and they all expire like I think April 21st. They had like I think $2 puts. If anybody in here has seen it or knows it, please put a comment in the comment section in the chat. But the fact that they have it, I do know that they have puts on AMC piled up. So you want to tell me that somehow Antera knew about this settlement by April 21st? Or did somebody make this payment work, or had to make this payment ASAP go through, and it wasn't to the best interest for Antera for this thing to take on all the way until April 27th, because all their puts would basically become useless because the price of AMC would not drop down. But now, with the price of the exotic drop like this, most of these puts, they're not in the money, but they're in the profit. So if they want to sell them for profits, they can, because of this in one day, that 27% drop in AMC. So I'll get into that in just a second now. Let me see where I'm at here. So basically, where are they issuing the shares from afterwards? Well, you know, with the whole proposal, AMC will have about 411 million shares that they can issue at any given time. And obviously, since the reverse split and the conversion, technically the holders would basically not have control over the company or the votes or anything anymore. That's what people wanted to vote for with the yes, unfortunately. So now that's where that 4.4%, that's where that 6.9 million shares that are going to get issued after, because of this settlement, that's where they are coming from. Basically, AMC will issue out of those 400 plus million that they can issue at any given time, basically diluting the stock. So they're paying us from us and diluting us through us. AB, let's all be together when this runs up, when this run comes up. Not feeling good saying this, waiting for more to 2 years. This is what we see. See, here's the thing, Wasim Bano, like, I love that. You know, I'm always pushing the idea of unity. I'm always pushing for peace and unity. But when it comes at the expense of many people who, I don't want to say that they can't fend for themselves, because that's not the case. All of you in here are freaking powerful, more capable than even I am. But the weapon that we have at our disposal here is the weapon of knowledge and spreading that knowledge amongst the community. There's a lot of people that I'm seeing around, specifically on Twitter, that are hyping people up about wrong info, completely wrong, saying that, oh yeah, that's very bullish. Like, anything is bullish now. AMC sells all its float to Antera, bullish. Like, stuff like that, like anything like this, like hypothetical example that I just gave right there, these shills and these FUDs would still say that. And unfortunately, some of the community and a good amount of chunk of the community will fall into these webs, these spider webs of these shills. Again, it just bugs the living hell out of me how some even content creators are calling themselves on the side of the apes. We are with you. We are in the community. They're putting these this like sheep clothing where reality they're wolves underneath that mask, and that's that masquerade. That's what they are doing. They're building a platform on the expense and on top of the backs and the shoulders of the community, knowing that the community has a cause. The numbers are there, and people are trying to, some of these content creators just want to build a platform on these people's dreams. And it bugs the living hell out of me, because it's just like about a week ago, most of them were saying, oh, Allegheny is afraid. That's why they want to cover. They don't want to go get deposed. And guess what? AMC settles with them. Who has something to hide here now? Why would you settle if you got nothing wrong to hide or nothing to worry about? And the settlement on top of that, like, it's, you're issuing shares, diluting, aka diluting shares after the reverse and the conversion goes through, if it goes through, to make that deal whole. So whether 2 years and all that, I don't see that, brother Wasim Bano. I don't see that. Like, this whole taking 2 years, the market can't take 2 months. 2 months in this shenanigans. You know, okay. So last week I made a post on Friday before the market closed. I said, if you know, and you probably, some of you in here might have seen that post. I said, hey, and I even made a video and I said it. I'll clip that part out and probably repost it when time is right. I said, look at the SPY and keep your eyes on the SPX, which is the aka SP 500. And if you know the game and you play options and all that stuff, because I can't give financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. I'm just giving my humble opinions here. But I looked at it then and I said, look at April 10th, April 11th. And do with that information as you see fit. Mr. McCowan said, if I would have sold at 72, would have made over 100K. Well, I would have been rich man, building and selling houses the last 2 years in this market. Well, that's the thing, Mr. McCowan. If you would have sold then, unfortunately, here's the, it's like the better of two evils. If everybody would have done that, then MOAS would have been over at that price target. However, all these synthetics that have been rolled out, if people were selling them, they were basically like a lot of, in my humble opinion, I think a lot of orders were not going to be fulfilled in those evaluations back then, because eventually at some point, I mean, if you're talking about all these floats in the background, if people are selling, they're basically selling these synthetics back to these brokers and market makers. And when you're selling them back, eventually they're going to pay you. But eventually you're going to be like, they're going to be like, okay, well, we're paying more than we're getting in return. The Ponzi scheme can't handle it. Personally, I think that they would have the whole entire system would have been broken back then if everybody actually said, you know what, forget the hodl, let's just sell back then. Now is a different story. Now we're under the, under the hand. We'll put it that way, or under the sword. You sell, you're selling for less, they're winning regardless. You hold, you're going to hold through this reverse split / conversion, which definitely also gives them what they need. In the past videos, I've explained how and what makes what is the purposes of each and single one of those, the conversion and the reverse split. The conversion gives them way into AMC to get shares to just close the shorts. You got to remember, guys, there is a major difference between shorts and synthetics. Major difference. And a lot of people in the community, including content creators that basically do either content creators that may know, but they just keep a closed or a hush hush on it because it's not exotic talk that they don't want to get into, or a lot of the community are just completely blatant to that info. You know, when you look, and I'll just explain it like this. When they talk about 20%, 25% of the float is shorted, let that sink in. If we have a 500+ million float and you're 25% of that is shorted, you're talking about somewhere around 150 to almost around 140, 150 million shares that are sold short. That's not even counting if there is naked shorts and all that, but nobody can prove the naked shorts. But what we can prove is the coexistence of synthetics. Obviously, the CEO doesn't believe they're there. The entire financial system doesn't believe they're there, because if they are there, if they say that they are there, especially either the CEO says that he will be sued ASAP, or he would be getting out of his line ASAP, because it will create chaos. Right now, the only people that are saying synthetics coexist are us, retail, or some institutional investors, but not the not the SEC, or not the feds, or not the bodies that are in control of the market, or even market makers. We know that there are synthetics. But the difference here between the synthetics and the shorts is some synthetics can be sold. Some synthetics, or even the spoofing on a daily base, where you route the buy orders through the market and fulfill them synthetically. But then you see that now Citadel apparently is sitting on over $70 billion in assets since 2018. It didn't just start yesterday or today or last year or in 2021 or 2020. Since 2018, they've been in this madness where they're selling assets and they're obviously delivering them, but they're not purchasing them. So there's so much that goes into this. Bonnie R., the court must approve the settlement. Yes, they have to approve the settlement. But again, when you look at it, if the court, if two people go to the court and say he hit me, and then somehow they go to the court again and say, well, we're fine. I don't want to press charges on this person. He did not hit me anymore. I'm cool. He paid me enough money. I'm okay with it. Now the court can look for maybe the only far-fetched solution or other narrative I have here is if the court says, well, there's still illegal grounds here, which where the part where people send their letters to the judge and the magistrate there could play a big part, a huge part in this whole equation to perhaps even not allow this. But if none of that factors in, then it's an easy dismissal to the whole thing, because that's it. The person who's suing is no longer suing. So there's no more ground for a lawsuit anymore. I hope it's the opposite. I hope it's the opposite. They're in a rush. Look at it. Who's in the rush? Is it us? The people who are misleading the some of the community and saying the yes, 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 and all that stuff. They're saying we need it for long term and all this stuff. I keep telling people, you don't need to lose 10-1 on APE and 10-1 on AMC. Those are shares that you paid for. Both AMC and APE could freaking moas. Of course, AMC a lot more since it's been around, it's been manipulated for years. But APE is nothing short of it. Don't settle. Like, again, I can't tell anybody what to do or what not to do. It's just the narrative that they're putting out there. It's like, it's either you get effed this way or you get effed this way. Choose the better way to get effed. And of course, that's not the way. If they give you two options, you can create a third. There's always a third. And that third is the third that they're not offering you, which is the fact that, hey, HODL have worked for us. Look at it. They brag about how our fundamentals are getting better and better every day. We brag about, even the CEO himself, we're breaking records for food and beverages per Patreon almost on a weekly base now. John Wick 4 broke expectations. Way more movies are coming out almost every week. We got major blockbusters coming out more, and we're on the verge of breaking even. And we have freaking popcorn rolling through. We could even approach many more stores. We're only in so many, just XYZ amount of Walmarts. We can reach out to be more. We can reach out and do deals with Walgreens, Kroger's, everywhere. Anybody that wants AMC popcorn. And since it's always being sold out, every store or every retail wholesaler slash major business, whether it's Walmart, whether it's Myers, whether it's Kroger's, Ramco, whatever, would want this product in their shelves because it creates more sales for them. Not because they just love AMC popcorn, because it equals money. So that's what's in it for them, but that's good for us. So why are we in such a rush to choose either option 1 or 2 when we can have 3, which is not having to settle for this or that? Matt Cullen, so everybody's selling? No. Mrs. Chase, AB, I could have retired, AB, but AB, I'm going to be real with you, not holding another year, hoping for market crash so tired of these. I understand. That's unfortunately, again, that's part of the misguidance of some of these content creators that basically, like I said, they're interested in building a name and a platform on the shoulders and the hopes of the community. And it's unfortunate because that's a misrepresentation of who we are, of us. You know, but I'll tell you this, I can tell you this, from my humble opinion, this market can't take another year to crash. This market can't take shit. You guys seen how now even Japan broke its deal with the US and bought oil from Russia for more than the price that America have put as far as, or the United States have put as a barrier, as a limit. You know, everybody's gonna look out for themselves now. Like we're in that time, guys. And again, the more thing I would be worried about here, besides just like I want to make life-changing wealth right here, the bigger threat to worry about is all world warfare that could at any given moment be splurged. I hope not. I hope not. You know, what is rich at that point, or what are riches at that point when there's no system in general that could take care of any of it, or you could enjoy it in anything. But this system can't take another year, Miss Chase, and to everybody else in the family. This system can't take another year of this shenanigans. All it takes is this May 2nd is before even May 2nd, you will see many more other situations like the SVPB situation will ensue, because even at 4.75 basis points, we had these smaller banks default. Imagine now we're officially at 5, and that's going to factor in starting literally like this week and next week. You're going to start seeing the hemorrhaging of it. You got McDonald's trying to shut down most of its corporate until they lay off many employees. There is no extra year with this crap. I just don't see it happening that way at all. You got the oh my God, there's just so much to like go over, to think about at the same time. You got all this craziness. Now, when it's a 5%, you're going to have banks who are basically saying, we were helping the smaller banks get out of this mess, but now we are vulnerable ourselves. Watch. I've said in this last video that I put, or the video before that, that's going to be the excuse of these major banks like the JP Morgans, the Goldmans, and whatever. They're all going to say, well, we came to the rescue to these banks, and now we're the victims. They're going to play hero on your expense and my expense. That's where the taxpayer money is going to be, and the bailout is going to happen. The first crap is like, okay, we pay this little tip money, but the real bill, the taxpayers are going to pay, because they're going to say, their excuse is going to say soon, perhaps, that we had major bank runs on our banks, and we need obviously that for that to be replenished, because we can't cover all these costs. Now, when these major banks like the JP Morgans, the Goldmans, the Citigroups, the Bank of America, when these banks start asking, we want to be replenished, or like what happened with SVB, what happened with them, when the bigger banks are the ones that are saying we need the same thing to be done to us, you think there's another set of banks that are going to come and, you know, put money to make JP Morgan whole, or his investors whole? No. It's the only thing that could cover them would technically be the feds, and they're already in that like they already worked all that out well ahead of time, like throughout last year, even before that. You see it through federal repo and reverse repo on a daily basis. The feds will have to come in and say, okay, guys, well, what do we do here? Who's going to bail out these big banks, or who's going to make them whole? The little banks don't have enough money to make these big banks whole. It's going to be the feds. Where are the feds going to get the money from? They're going to print. Who does that affect? Basically the inflation on the taxpayer and us. Let's see. Matt Cullen, another 20% down tomorrow. Or here's another point too, for speaking about 20% down. AMC goes down 27%. Ape goes up 27%, roughly 27, 28. However, we were down at some point when I was looking at it. Our market cap together combined, we were down about roughly 300 million after that news came out. We didn't go up. A lot of people are mistaken. They're saying that, okay, 27% down from here, but 20%, 27% up on Ape. Okay, that means it's the same. The money went from here to here, but no, you're down roughly 300 million, perhaps more or less after the market the aftermarket closed. But at some point it was that or even more. So where people are getting it wrong is when AMC goes down 27% from 5 something, that's over $1 and some change. When Ape at an evaluation of $1 and some cents goes up 27%, that's only about 30 to 40 cents. That's where your 300 plus million or less, a little bit, or around that range, market cap loss on a day happened there. So it's important to think about that too. Small things, but they have big meanings. G Money, AB, thank you for what you do. But everything is still on hold until judge finalizes the settlement. Anything can happen from now until then. Of course, brother. Of course, G Money. Of course. I'm just breaking down the narratives of, I never will ever say this is what will happen. You know, as far as with that, because again, as I told you guys, there's a lot of blanks still to be filled, but something that will be basically reported, whether an update from AMC or an update from the court that will happen. The judge could come out and say, okay, we're going to drop this because both parties have dropped their case against each other, or they settled their case against each other. Or the judge can still say there's still legal ground here for this, based on the letters that they received or based on just the Constitution alone. So yeah, as I've mentioned, you're absolutely correct, G Money. AMC will never see another penny from me again. Mr. McCohen, see, the problem is not AMC. The problem is the bloodsuckers that are sitting in AMC. And unfortunately, there's also another stupid, let's bust another myth that they put out there, saying that if you don't like the CEO or the board, why are you investing in that company? And that's total stupid bullshit. I believe in the company. The CEOs or the board are appointed. So that's something that could happen, like similar to what you see in bbig now. They're even trying to, the retail is trying to actually reach a way into where they can vote themselves on that board. Yeah, it will, whether it happens or not, God knows. But that's where we at. It's a beautiful idea if this thing doesn't go through, that we basically must probably go after a muster to try to get us a representation of us on the board. This whole put a blindfold on and trust my banana and my silver back. This stuff is like, especially with money. There's a lot of sayings in so many different cultures and so many different languages that speak exactly just against that. And this is historical sayings. It says you never miss the birth of like, it's an old saying, and again, it's from a different language and a different culture, so it makes a lot more sense and it rhymes better in that language. But you never ever miss the birth of your, like the calf of your sheep, or your cow. You never miss the birth. You gotta be present so you can see, you know. And the moral of it is, you don't just put your investment in something and obviously just say, oh, okay, I trust it because I believe in the CEO there. We're all human. People can either make mistakes or they can be corrupted. They can be great and they can be corrupted. They can be corrupted and they can become great as well. Isn't that the moral compass of life? Never judge somebody down that's it and finalize a judgment on them in life and leave the judging to the Almighty. I hope I never hear bullish again. Yeah. AMC Country Boy Living, what's next move? Will it run? Well, it is running to the opposite, in the opposite direction, because of the news, obviously, of the dilution. See, here's the funny thing. Give this narrative to the yesers. I will call it that way. Why didn't Ape and AMC go up? Why didn't Ape by itself go up 27% on that news of the settlement to meet where AMC is? How does it make even sense that in the aftermarket, AMC drops instantly 28, 27%, and Ape goes up? Like, basically the whole fix was put in. When you look at all what's on hand, the fact that ater had plenty of puts that expire on AMC in April, I think it was 21st or 24th. I think it was like at the $2 or $2.50 expiration. And this happens ASAP. Like, who paid who off to get that done? And Terra would have been screwed if AMC stayed in the evaluation that it's in. And I've warned people a month ago. I can clip that part and bring it to you. Remember when we were talking technicals? And people were talking about ants trades and how he was saying that it was in March, I believe, that we were going to squeeze and it didn't. And people saying like, hey, B, what is it? And I just told you that it was not necessarily wrong. It was just off in time. And I told you, don't be surprised and don't be scared if they take you down to the $3, perhaps the $2. All this was not even being talked about back then. Literally, even the Allegheny lawsuit wasn't even in play. That was just the technicals back then. I can go back and clip it in time, unless there's people in here also that were present on that live of that TA back then and can actually verify that they heard me say that stuff. And still, the overall answer, country boy, in my humble opinion, again, not financial advice, is it's still going to be day to day. The next move, it's not our move, it's their move. The court's move. It will dictate what happens. Unless there are other moves in the play, unless there are other lawsuits in the play, unless these letters that we're rolling out to the court, or some of us that are rolling those letters out, are going to play or factor in or play a role in this whole thing. At the end of the day, you know, I always tell people this. Your options in this position right here, in this time frame, is either you get out and you take a loss, or you hold it through and see where it comes. The decision is always going to be yours. Or 3, let's see, we have to create a 3. Because again, you never want to just go with the 2 that are created to you. Create your own. Or 3, you can basically wait if you're not even in this play. But again, if in this position, there's technically 2. Literally just 2 options. You either hold through this or you get out of it. At the end of the day, what is it that you're gonna do? It's your decision. It's your financial situation. It's your, and this I'm speaking generally abroad to everybody in here and to the entire family in the community. You have to do what you think is best for your family and your loved ones and your financial investment. That's ultimately what it is. Everybody's stakes is different. Everybody's stakes are different. The stakes for some can handle going through something like this and hold through the other side and see what comes entails, because nobody can guarantee you something. Remember that. Nothing can be guaranteed in this life. But the overwhelming majority is, I put my money in this. I've made my mind in this back in September of 2020. And it has not changed no matter what. Of course, I don't like losing any of my shares. Why wasn't this crap done back in 2021, in the early stages of 2021? AMC needed this reverse split to be done. We wouldn't even have a need for conversion. We wouldn't even have ape. AMC needed the reverse split back then, more than we need it now. Why didn't they do it then? Ask yourself these questions. They could have offered that reverse split back then, but now that everybody has been over 2 years piling in shares, and now you want to do a reverse split, it's just kind of like I said, it's all its purpose is to, this reverse split is to basically cushion the blow on the other side that is either shorting us or sold us many synthetics. It's just lowering that exposure to that, or cushioning that blow that is coming toward them. That's just my humble opinion, you know? So I'm sticking through no matter what. That's what it is. Again, when you're in a weak position, you gotta roll and twist and work with what life throws at you until you get, but have a plan, of course, at all times. Your plan at all times. And when you're in the position of strength, now you're in a position of actually striking and doing some damage the rightful way and an effective way against all these market manipulations or against any of this. I mean, at the end of the day, if all the family is filthy rich, the biggest blow you could deal to the entire this, and then this might get me demonetized, or this might get me kicked off of YouTube or whatever. The biggest FU you could give to the entire system if you were filthy rich is to get the hell out of all of this. Not being a taxpayer at some point, or being out of the tax pyramid scheme, would be ultimately the biggest loss to the entire situation, or the biggest middle finger you'll give back to this corrupt system. Counting my moments now. Sorry guys, fasting definitely puts a stool on a person. So yeah, I'm like, I'm like very lightheaded. And the crazy thing also with like what happened with FINRA, like the fact that the blue sheets, like, oh my God, so much just happened today. Like, it shows how they were actually even orchestrating this whole shenanigans with the Mmtlp or MMAT community. Mmtlp is the preferred equity, similar to like the ape to AMC is. MMAT is the common share of Mmtlp, the preferred equity shares. Floyd, they seen the evidence in the deposition? Yeah. Ugh. Hold on, I just gotta put the phone down to open up this water bottle. I gotta drink. One moment, guys. I'm gonna leave it open too, so I don't have to do this again. All right, let me see if there's any questions or comments. Gorilla Grod, hey, what's up, brother? Hopefully you and your loved one are doing great. Lady Grod, AB dropped in to say hello, and the third Grod, baby Grod, is on the way too. Again, congrats on that. You guys will make the most wonderful parents in the world. So I'm not as excited as probably as you guys are, because no one can replace or cover the excitement and joy for parents to be soon, and hopefully both Mother Grod and Baby Grod will arrive back safely and sound. So you guys are amazing, brother. Thank you for checking in. Appreciate it. Everything is good here. Just dried out from fasting. Attendees AB, thank you for all you have done to help us along the way. It really meant a lot to me, and I appreciate you and your DD facts, man. I appreciate you attendees more than anything as well. Again, everything that we do, guys, and this is my statement to myself. I'm not reflecting that on everybody, but this is me speaking to everybody through my moral compass. Everything we do, the way I see the world, everything we do, everything we say, even no matter how, even if it means something else, but our intentions are always going to be revealed to the Most High above. And everything we do and say, we will be asked about one day. So, who, like, I fear mine. I'll just put it that way. I'll fear mine. I fear my higher power. He will ask me one day, and you all will bear witness. You all will bear witness. He will ask when it's my time to answer, and he's like, hey, you said such and such and such. And all of you, if it was for bad intent, all of you will be my witness then on that judgment day and speak against me and say, yes, he did say this and he did say that. Everything will be documented. Everything will be talked about. Everything's already put in. My intent is already revealed. So I can't cover it and say, well, I didn't mean that way. I just said it. I said this. No, the intent is going to be very revealed as well. They know what's in thy heart, and you can't hide it. You can hide it from the world with words or whatever actions, but the true nature or the true intent that you possess on the inside is revealed to the Most High, and he will ask you, and you guys will all be witnesses in that trial. Again, this is just me reflecting on me. I'm not putting that on you guys. This is the way I see it. So if you ever going to think like, what is this guy after? What's his intentions? I just want you to keep that in the back of your head, that I fear what's above more than anything. In fact, I only fear what's above than anything on this freaking earth. How much value was given in the settlement? Figures are right. 6.9 times 30 according the big price for no fault. Well, the value is, again, for what they're offering is 4.4% of I mean, those 6.9 to 22,565 shares represent roughly or exactly 4.4% of the float, the combined float after the reverse split and the conversion. AMC will dilute from their shares to make that happen. Shirley, how are you? How are you, my friend? Well, enjoy your dinner, my friend. Thanks for stopping by. Have a fabulous night, Shirley. Yeah, Mr. McCohen, the content creators that were pushing this, and they're still who are still pushing the yes, 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 yes narrative and all that. Listen, they're always gonna look for some sort of narrative or spin-off to bring out to carry on their their agenda. And eventually, if the worst of the worst case scenario for them happens and everything gets screwed, it's always an easy card to play and say, well, we didn't see what the board was doing, or we didn't see that was happening. I mean, they always have an exit plan or strategy. The problem is, since it's a lot of people that are being influenced by this crap, when that happens, if God forbid the worst case scenario happens, an exit strategy for these content creators is not gonna be making these people that will lose a lot of their money, or perhaps have lost exposure to a lot more profits, or basically, better yet, for the lack of better terms, for the MOAS, they're gonna be basically what? Who are they gonna go after? Somebody who says not financial advice? Trust me, bro. Everyone will have themselves to blame when it's said and done. Whatever is the outcome, remember, you can't go and point fingers. Just remember that. Whether content creator or anybody in this community, you chose to follow that. You chose to vote whether the yes or the no. You chose to put your money in the stock. You chose to be I don't want to say seduced by these content creators. You chose to be influenced by these content creators out there. Miss Gloria, how are you doing? G Money, wasn't there 2 other lawsuits? I didn't see any. Not that I know of. On another news, I don't know if there's any WWE fans here, but they merged with the UFC. The parent company for UFC is, I forgot of it, man. It's like, it starts with the E. But they merged, man. That's big. They acquired WWE, so they're basically now going to be operating under one ticker symbol called TKO. Obviously, the UFC will still have their CEO Dana White, and the WWE has the CEO after Vince McMahon stepped down. I think it's something con. They're gonna be like, their market cap is gonna be around 30 billion. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge. So that news, watch for those stocks tomorrow that perhaps would do something. You know, I think it's Evidence, the parent company of the UFC, because they're who acquired the UFC. But yeah, they're merging with WWE. It's official. Let me see. Buckeye Ace, how are you, sir? Nice to see you in here. Mr. Number One Son, how are you, sir? Keep up the great work and the great word that you're pushing up. You're pushing out, man. I definitely appreciate your sincerity, man. I definitely appreciate your sincerity, sir. I'm one of your top fans. I'll just put it out there. Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, Mr. I can't say the name, the first name, but Number One Son has a great YouTube channel as well, and he puts out content that basically are spoken straight out of the heart. So show some love. Mr. McCone, where's Jeffrey tonight? Jeffrey. Oh, there you go. Mr. Number One Son and Devour. Thank you, sir. Appreciate for posting that. That's the mother company or the parent company of the UFC. Yes, Mr. McCone. Jeffrey, I think, is, you know, Jeffrey's. He's all over the place, all over the internet. That's my brother right there. Mr. Roka. There's another amazing YouTube channel too, and another individual, amazing individual, Scouts Outdoor Services, SOS. This individual also, this gentleman right here, also has an amazing YouTube channel. Again, if it's in your interests, and I believe you have a like a company, like a landscaping company, if I'm not mistaken. And I've seen some of those videos. They were really fun to see what that machine, it's like kind of it's not a crane. I forget names easily, especially when you're fasting. And how it was able to haul like so much all at once and everything. So I love some of your videos, my friend. So that's another amazing individual in our family, in our community. So, do we have any questions, family? I know you guys wanted me to report, and I reported. A lot of times, many of the details, when there's a lot, many of the details can be overlooked or forgotten about in the live. And then as soon as we get off the live, I remember what it was. But it's just so fascinating how, again, to me, like how the narratives will never end. You will have many of these, like, again, all of this would have been not in coexistence. Like, we wouldn't even have to deal with this if everybody unanimously voted no to all these proposals. They would even we wouldn't even have to worry about dilution. This 4.4% is not coming, like, you're not getting an extra share here. It's coming from within your own investment because your investment is in the company. So that's a dilution from the way that I understand it to the overall company. After service goes through, as far as the reverse and the conversion, if they were to be implemented and go through. And I've made plenty of sound cases and reasons, not just blabbering around and whatever, as far as long term. This excuse of the fiduciary duty that the company has, or the board, the CEO has to the company. Well, who's the company? We freaking make over 85 to probably 90%, if not over 3,000% of the company. That's what we represent. Their fiduciary duties first lies with us, with their number one holders. Now, more importantly than all that, whose best interest is it for the company to stick around and to be better and better? To its investors, to the majority investors, to us. So obviously, even with the saying no, and again, this is my opinion, we're saying no because we care about our investment and of course the MOAS, in the same time about the company, because without the company's coexistence there's no MOAS. And that fear of that notion that if the company doesn't do this conversion in the reverse stock split, we will not have a company, we will not have a MOAS, that's pure BS. Pure BS. You guys are gonna get me this close to start having foul language in my life. Not you guys in particular. Some people in the community, some people out there. Like, we can definitely have both a great fundamental company in the same time. I mean, again, guys, look at this. Like, who's hurting here, us or them? When you've seen the cost to borrow at 200+% on average, when you see utilization, of course, how long now has been on 100, over 100%, at 100% for how long now? Who's losing on a daily base holding shorts? Us or them? We're not shorting the stock. So the fact that we're giving them a way out, and mark my words, you'll see the cost to borrow will drop tremendously if this reverse split / conversion goes through. You don't believe me? If this gets implemented, I hope not, you'll see. Go to your favorite content creators and ask them that same question, and hold it on record. Let's see if they say, yeah, no, after the reverse stock split, the cost to borrow will be as high or this high or even higher. Let's see who tells you that, and then you be the judge through your own losses. Fundamentally, we have every reason for AMC and APE also. It doesn't even need to get converted in. Even APE itself can freaking short squeeze like crazy. They're shorting it like crazy. And they're doing the same spiel that they've done to AMC for years, and bbig for years, mmtlp for years, GME for years. All the stocks that they're doing this to, majority of all the other meme stocks, they're doing the same thing with APE too. So they will have to answer for that with APE. They do this conversion and they do all this stuff. So basically what? In the name of fundamentals, you want to let them get off the hook with all that shit? That's up to you. You don't understand the market? Don't go out there bashing people. Don't go out there bashing people. And then eventually when all fails, then you eventually turn into one of those shills. You remember after, like in the past 2 years in 2021, when a lot of people got margin called who had margin accounts, and they got margin called within the community. I don't know if many of you might have not been around for that long, but it wasn't too long ago. It was just like a little over a year ago. Again, I've been around in AMC since September of 2020. So I could tell you dates and times of battles that happened all along the way, like I was like freaking whatever, Alexander the Great in that time. But I can't make the speech he made. That is the greatest speech probably of all time. Anywho, these people say that, do you remember like back then when people were in the community had margin accounts and they got margined when the price was rapidly dropping. And those particular individuals, when they got margined out of their accounts, because obviously, again, of not having enough knowledge and not understanding the fundamentals of trading, not fundamentals of AMC 101 or whatever, like whatever they want to create, fundamentals of the freaking market. And when they got margined, do you know what these individuals became? Not all, but most of them, what they became? They eventually turned and became the #1 AMC shills. They became shills in turn because they got margined. They just wanted to blame everybody for their shortcoming. And if this was to be replicated through this stupid vote, again, those same people will be the same people that who get screwed over, will be the same people to turn on the community itself and become the shills on the community. Unfortunately. Indeed, Pete. Fortune favors the bold. That's why when I said personally for me, I'm holding through no matter what. That's my personal, like decision. No one can tell anybody what to do with their money. But again, that's the only options you have right now. You sell, get out for a loss, or you hold through and see if you get a loss at the end of this journey, or you get out with obviously profits. Now, ultimately, when this thing happens, if this thing happens, the conversion in the reverse, in my humble opinion, it takes the idea of MOAS out of the table. I still can't think that just that 10-to-1 reverse / conversion gets rid of all the synthetics in the background. Yeah, they will give access to the shorts, to perhaps get access to the shares that they need, that we're not selling them. But the MOAS is not only based on the shorts. Shorts is only one part of the equation. The main pie or piece of the pie here are the synthetics. All these assets that has to be repurchased by these market makers and the people and the brokers. And the funny thing is, the reason why they can't purchase them is because the people that have bought them are sitting on them. You sell them back, those assets will disappear. Watch, mark my words, you'll see. Once it all afterwards, when everything is all settled and it's all said and done, whether you reach your favorite numbers or the numbers that you've targeted all along or not, you'll see. You're like, everybody's gonna come back and is like, where's the assets that needs to be purchased? Oh, they already got purchased. How? We didn't get, well, when everybody sells, they basically those will cover those and everything will get shredded. And we'll have a new movie like The Big Short. And they're probably already working on it. I know they're working on the GameStop one, and they have one for AMC, The Rise of the Apes and all that stuff. But there will probably be another movie afterwards that will come out and says will probably be titled as the Greatest Short, not The Big Short, The Greatest Short. Billy says, I think the political upheavals we are about to see is going to play a part in us getting our justice and our attendees. Well, they're always part of it, Billy. I totally agree with you. They've always been a part of it, and they're still a big part of it. The fact that you see now, like just the fact that today, the reports that came out as far as like Japan having, buying oil from the Russians for a higher price than the price that was set by the US. Like, you're talking about one of the countries that is technically, ever since World War II, after we took care of them back then, unfortunately, the way that it happened. But, again, I'm not going to talk politics here. I'm just going to say that they've became our #1. And again, I don't mean this with any disrespect to anybody, but they became the doormat to the US. It's just that's the face value of it. The US says something, Japan will go with it. There's no resistance. And I'm not speaking just on that. You're talking to someone who knows their politics, who knows history. You want to judge the future or try to predict the future, you got to study history. That's the number one tool for understanding or trying to at least somehow have an image on predicting the future or understanding the way that the world revolves, especially the political world, especially after World War II, or when we dropped those bombs on the Japanese. And back then there was no social media the way that it is now. I mean, most Americans didn't even know about it until years later. That's what happened, like that we dropped nukes on them. I don't know, like many of you might not even believe this or know this, but many people in the world / Americans didn't even know. The media blocked it from coming. It took years until the world got the word that, hey, America dropped 2 nukes on the Japanese, on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And afterwards, we sent scientists to go over there, and the Japanese thought that they were going to be sent so that they can treat the people from the nuclear radiation. Instead, what the scientists that we sent, unfortunately, again, were sent to test them as guinea pigs, to see the human reaction to the nuclear radiation that hit that region. So, again, that's a different topic. That's a different world. It's unfortunate what human does to human. It's unfortunate. But I agree with you, Billy. I agree with you in a long answer that yes, the political upheaval we are about to see is going to play a big part in us, in our situation. Family, if you have any questions, please put them in now. I'm about to lose my voice. I need to go and drink more water and stuff to prepare for fasting tomorrow. I am super drained from today. It's very amazing the fact that we're almost 2 weeks in, like halfway there through Ramadan. It's a whole month and we're almost 2 weeks in. It feels like it was just started yesterday. I love all my people, man. I love the family. I love everybody. Even the people that mean harm to me or whatever, or say stupid stuff to me, or shill or any of that stuff. I don't blame. Many times, like I said, I look at people as far as the shoes that they're in, and the only way to understand why someone behaves the way that they do is to best try to stand in their own shoes, to try to understand what they go through and all that stuff. So even the people that hate against me and all that, like, again, mentally I'm wired not the same way that most people might think. And I'm not saying this as in a way like, oh, I'm better, or I'm wired different, I'm better. No, I'm just explaining that my wiring or my care is to the most high above. So I don't care about when shills come talk crap about AB. If somebody even means harm to me, hey, it doesn't mean anything. Whatever is supposed to happen to me is already been determined. It's already been written in the books in the sky. So there's no outrunning or maneuvering your destiny in my world. So again, when you think of AB, this is what you have to remember in the back of your head, that I'm not, I don't put face value to this fake life, this never everlasting life. You know, it's coming to an end. It ends for everybody. And we're going to be just judged on the actions and the things that we say and do in this life. Again, this is just my moral compass. So when you refer to me or you address me or anything, keep those things in the back of your head, because that's the only thing that I do it for, or how I'm wired around those ethics and values and beliefs. Pete, are we going to the moon or into Earth score? I think that's a win-win, brother. Depending on how you look at Earth score. Earth score, there's many theories out there that says that the crust of the earth, there's many earths inside, the inner earth theories and all that stuff. I'm just joking with you, brother. Whatever way, I personally am holding through no matter what. I don't care whether we have what they say is like we're gonna have this or that. I've explained many times before, and I will do it here again, and I will continue to say this, that in my humble opinion, even if this reversal / conversion goes through, that does not kill the up movements or the runs that will happen in the stock, because it's been over pressed for so long. All that has to be re-cleaned. All this corrosion in the back or underneath the hood has to be cleaned out and repolished. And to do so, there will have to be runs. There will have to be up runs. Now, this conversion / reverse split could put a dent in the MOAS theory. Again, this is just my humble opinion. So therefore, if this thing goes through, I'm just setting my mind and my plan. I always say, have a backup plan, have many backup plans, and have your strategy into how would you react to whatever happens, and basically go down with it. Don't settle with this or just that, or just go along with the crowd. You know, if this goes through, what is going to be your plan, and stick with it, and live with the consequence of whatever you choose. At the end of the day, it's a choice. It's not somebody else's choice. You can never live with the pain. If you go with somebody else's choice and you get hurt, you will never be able to forgive yourself or live with that, because you're always going to be haunting yourself. Like, at least you could have made that choice yourself, you know? So make your own choice on that. Personally, like I said, I'm holding through no matter what. I'm going to see it through, and I will see what happens through. If this thing does not go through and the court blocks it, or other lawsuits pop up, or the judge synthesizes with the letters that he gets and makes sense to him, because I just can't see how it doesn't make sense. Hopefully, you know, we've seen judges get bribed and caught in the Supreme Court, in the highest of courts. So hopefully this is not another, here you go, judge, you know, magistrate. So all that will play a big part. If this thing does not go through, like I said, I would be the happiest man on earth. MOAS is intact, and it's like never ever before. If it does not happen and it does go through this reverse / conversion, then I still think that there will be many runs that will happen in many different turns. I just don't see the MOAS being on the table if this reverse and / conversion happens. And I explained before, why the MOAS is off the table if this was to be implemented in these things. And clearly the numbers will show. You're going to have a MOAS with what? You're going to have people with, 100 shares, 50 shares, 75 shares to have MOAS? I'm not thinking, guys, like when you look at these content creators, sometimes like I wonder, like, what is the moral compass? Like, where is it? Where do you draw the line? Like, who are they afraid of? Are they afraid of a higher power? Or are they saying this because, you know, their higher power is money and fame and power? It's very scary. The fact that people have, like, with all these signs out there, that people still doesn't believe, or some people still don't believe that there is something in control, or there is a higher power out there that you will have to answer to one day. Think, like, these content creators might have 20,000 shares, might have 30, 40, 50,000 shares, but I'm not speaking only for myself. The fact that the idea of I'm good, as long as I'm good, that's all that matters. See, that's mankind's biggest downfall, is the selfishness. Like, what about the ones that have less than 1,000 shares? What about the ones that have less than 50 shares? Or, sorry, after the reverse split, they'll have like 50 shares. If they have 500 or 1,000, let's say if each had 1,000 shares, what they'll have, 100 shares? Oh, let's factor in the conversion of ape. They have 1,000 of this and 1,000 of that. What, they'll have 200 shares? And they're going to moass with that? Tell me that one creator from the yes vote people that are given exact numbers. Let me give you this, more like this. Give me one yes content creator that is going out there saying that the moass, we're going to be this and that and all that stuff. And it's going to be, if the yes goes through, we're going to have the moass and all that stuff. So for somebody who has 100 or 200 shares after everything is all said and done, think of those individuals. That's the individuals that make the most of this community or this movement. It's not the ones with hundreds of thousands shares or 50,000 shares or 15,000 shares or 10,000 shares. What about that person who's thinking of their own thing? Like, get in their skin and think of their own situation. They only have 100. It's easy to be a content creator and put out videos and have 2,000 people viewing it or 50,000 people viewing it and get monetized and get all this stuff out of it and perhaps make your position bigger. And by this point, 2 years later, you have, like, you've amassed whatever, 20,000, 30,000 shares, or who knows if you're even worried about that game at that point or investing, because you're making your money elsewhere. What about the person who literally has a freaking family? And in these times of inflation, market corruption, skyrocketing everything, rent, food, water, everything, and they still mustered somehow to hold these 1,000 shares that they've been amassing for over freaking 2 years. They did not sell at 74. They did not sell in the 50s and 60s and the 70s. And finally they amassed their goal 2 years later and sticking it out. And they needed more money. They needed to push their family together. They needed to make their position bigger. They went and worked a second and a third and a fourth job. God knows some people even did more. And I can only feel for all these individuals. Like, all of these people that have amassed whatever, mustered 1,000 or 2,000 shares, finally, like 2 years in the making of that, averaging down, helping buy AMC when AMC was falling synthetically and illegally. While all that board and that CEO themselves cashed out in 2021 and cashed in their profits and made millions of dollars. In fact, the board is continuously doing that. I've once referenced that the board treats AMC/Ape like they're like better than day traders. While that same individual that I'm describing to everybody here in this community, and specifically you content creators, that same individual that has been doing, like, going through Mount Everest and beyond to muster 1,000 shares, to perhaps have a shot at moass or life-changing wealth. You're going to look them in the eye, or you're looking in the camera, so you're not looking them in the eye. It's easy to see 1,000 people viewing your live or your video and not looking each one in the eye, in the face, and seeing their children's faces and their family situation and how they're living and the conditions that they're in. And they go back home. Imagine that mother or that father that goes back to their family every day for 2+ years, telling their family that it's all for a better cause. We're not going to have this Christmas. We're not going to have this Thanksgiving. We're not going to have this like all other families, for it's going to pay off one day. And we're doing it for that cause, and your whole entire family buys into it with you. And now, like, for all of you content creators out there that supports this BS, you're going to go out, like, can you look each single person, these individuals that I just described, not everybody else, but those particular individuals, will you be able to look them in the eyes and tell them, yeah, but now you have 100 shares or 200 shares, and you can have still moass with that many shares? What are you going to tell them? Hold to 50,000 a share? YOLO! To the moon! 10,000 a share? So you can have a chance at life-changing wealth? or you're just gonna use the favorite YouTube verse that we all use. I'm not a financial advisor. Do this at your own, you know, blah 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 blah. Trust me, bro crap. That's what bothers me. This is what goes under my skin, is the fact that people can roll out whatever on the expense of the community and the family. And when they don't really understand or keep in mind who makes the most of this community, are those individuals that I just spent whatever last amount of minutes describing. And most of them don't even speak. Most of them don't even fucking speak. Because they just can't, like, you know, it's just their situation. G Money, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. You guys are the best. I'm just one of the people from the greatest community that basically have touched the stock market movement since the beginning of the stock market. So the blessings are all to you guys. Pete, thank you. Appreciate you, sir. Psycho's Fitness, well, you're my favorite psycho. I'm just messing with you, my family. Thank you. I appreciate the sentiment and the great gesture. I have 3K ape share at 84 cents. What's your thought? Just your opinion, not financial advice. Well, again, you just said it at the end, not financial advice, but at 84 cents, your position is very similar to a what you call it, Antera. You're technically Antera, but not the bad Antera. So yeah, I think you're in good shape. I mean, you have two options. You hold through to see if it gets converted, if you like the conversion value, and those obviously the 10-to-1 reverse, and then it gets converted into AMC common shares, or you have decisions to be made. I mean, again, at 84 cents, look where the stock is at. It's your call. What's the best for you? Only you can see. What's your situation? What you're going through? Do you need it? Do you not need it? Whatnot? All that stuff goes into play. But you're so much below the current valuation of ape, so it's all your decision, sir. LA, think you're a little late to the party, but welcome. Yeah, we've addressed that already in the beginning of the live. So it's all AMC common shareholders, nothing ape, will get 1 out of every 7.5 shares, and anybody that basically whatever the fractional shares, I mean, it's going to be a big mess. That represents 4.4% that AMC will dilute out of the float to offer that settlement. So it's not like you're getting that as whatever is coming out of your own capitalization. So that same amount will drop. No worries. I know you just got here. You're good. You're good. That will drop out of AMC's, market cap itself. So that number that they're settled will represent 4.4% of the new company after the implementation of the reverse split and the conversion was to go through. If that does not go through, then this whole settlement is nullified hereby. So that's one of the things, is that it has to go through in order for the reverse split and the conversion must go through in order for that settlement to obviously be approved, or for the case to also happen. And the funny thing is that explains why many companies or institutions were still buying AMC a lot, still loading up on AMC even after the announcement of either the yes vote or before the vote was commenced into yes, as far as the 88% and blah blah blah. People were asking, like, why are these institutions not just piling up on Ape? Why are they piling up on AMC? Well, that's another thing that goes into it. Again, there's always people that know things ahead of time, surprisingly. So yeah, it's not like we're getting shares out of these people and blah 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 and all this stuff. No, it's 7 out of 7.5 shares. Anybody in AMC as of March 31st, if you held common shares in AMC, you'll be eligible. If this whole thing goes through, you'll be eligible for 1 share out of every 7.5 shares you hold. And obviously AMC shares. The problem is now you have another messy situation. You're going to have to reach out to your brokers after the reverse split. Who gets what? And the fractional shares, obviously, since there will be no fractional shares issued, you'll also have to reach out and see what your broker or your bank, whoever you're going through, other than a computer share, how they will basically send out those proceeds. It's going to be a lot of mess. It's going to be a messy one. So I appreciate you more, Mr. McCohen. Thank you again for your service, for what you have done for us, to especially in the nitty and gritty back in those heydays, to give us all obviously the chance to have a free platform to obviously even speak the way that we speak. Doesn't matter who's in charge and what's happening, but you were one of the main individuals that put you know, those stripes on your shoulders, and you said, you know what, I'm gonna go do it for everybody, and you never even asked for anything in return. So is all your fellow heroes. So I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart, as always, and many more obviously do. Yes, daily, you will be given in cash. Again, that's what they say, you'll be getting in cash, but the transfer agent for AMC, as this computer share, they said how they were going to offer it. Like, they will go through the market, they will sell them after the reverse split and the conversion, then they will issue it out, and they will, you know, transfer it to who it needs to go to. Now, the people who went through different brokers like Robinhoods, Weebles, or TD Ameritrades or whatever, they might have a different way of settlement of how they go about it. You see what I'm saying? So it's just going to be a messy process of who gets what, how, and how we get this where, who gets what from this. Like, it's yeah. But yeah, you're definitely correct, Daily. All right, family. I'm going to go drink some more water, a lot of water. Hopefully I've, you know, sent, you know, or addressed what needed to be addressed. And again, I will report to you the updates and how things are evolving. So throughout tomorrow, every day, as always, you know, AB never goes nowhere, and it, you know, it is what it is. We're all in this together. So it's however you see this, these things that just ensued today, it's not, in my humble opinion, it's not bullish news, and it's not the worst news that we've seen so far. It's like in the middle, and there's points to be made on this side, and there's points to be made on that side. In my humble opinion, I'll end it with this: if the votes were no across all the board, we wouldn't even be worried about no dilution, none of this stuff. Cost to borrow is still through the roof. People are vaporizing on the other side. They need this to happen ASAP. Some entities can't even make it to the April 27th, as it seems like it, or perhaps even a little beyond. So we're going to stay with this day to day. I wish all of you nothing but hopefully wealth and obviously peace. through these times, and throughout obviously our lives. So we'll see how it go. Everything ensues. We're all in this together. Hopefully I've answered all your questions, or to the best of my ability. And I'll end it again with just this: much love, AB Investments.